Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing the cards I made using Love From Lizi's September 2022 Super Card Kit. Love From Lizi is celebrating their 6th birthday this month, and every September they release a super kit that is packed full of goodies. If you are interested in purchasing or subscribing to the kit, I do have links provided in the description box below. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and most of the add-ons are still available. Let's go ahead and get started with card number 1. I'm using my favorite card sketch. This is from OWH. It's number 218. The pattern paper I'm using for this card is not included in the kit. It's one of the add-ons called Midnight Blooms, and it's a gorgeous paper collection. For the background, I have some silver pearlescent cardstock, and this is also an add-on that's available. I'm adding some Love From Lizi peel-offs along the edge of this blue pattern paper. This is the Racing Green Mirror color in the pinstripe style. Just wrap those ends around the back, put some ATG tape on the back, and layer this piece on some black cardstock. I'll put my card front onto a card base. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. Next, I'll add this beautiful pink floral panel. I've already stamped out the sentiment hello, and this is included on the stamp set in the kit. Cut a fishtail on the left side. Before adhering it to my card, I will put a small scrap piece of cardstock on the very left side. Then I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it in the lower left-hand corner. For a final finishing touch, I'll use some more Love From Lizi peel-offs, this time the black glitter color in the mini circle style. I'm using the medium-sized circle and putting it to the left of that beautiful floral panel. It's a very simple card design, but it's perfect for featuring some beautiful pattern paper. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 1. For card number 2, the card sketch is from Mojo Monday. This is number 323. I've selected 2 different pattern papers. The larger panel has a bunch of leaves in the background, and the other has this beautiful flower, and I cut that out using a stitch circle die. I'll add some Love From Lizi peel-offs on the leaf pattern paper. This is the lilac color. I'm using the narrowest width. I'm following this sketch design for the placement of the peel-offs. You could also add twine, but the nice thing about using peel-offs, they don't add a lot of extra dimension. I'll put some adhesive on the back and add the leaf pattern paper onto some blue cardstock. Then I'll layer it again on a dark blue cardstock. The kit does include several sheets of solid colored cardstock, and this dark blue color is one of them. But I will be bringing in additional cardstock since I love adding lots of layers to my cards. I'll put some ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. I cut out a second stitch circle die cut from some white cardstock. It's the same size that I use for the pattern paper, and I'll glue those 2 circles together just to give that pattern paper circle a little more stability. Then I'll put liquid adhesive on the back and adhere it to my card. I've already stamped out the sentiment, decided to go with the hello again. It's always good to have those nice general sentiments. On the very left side, I did cut it at an angle, and I'll adhere that sentiment underneath the flower. Using some of the ribbon that's included in the kit, I tied a bow. This is a dark blue color, and I'll adhere it underneath the sentiment using a small glue dot. Then for a final finishing touch, I'll add some of the gem stickers that are included in the kit. I'll add 3 of them in the upper right-hand corner. And I'll do my best to get them nice and straight. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 2. If you love purple and blue, there's a lot of it in the pattern paper that's included in the kit. It really is a beautiful paper collection. For card design number 3, I won't be using a card sketch this time. I selected this beautiful pattern paper that doesn't have any purple or blue. Instead, it has some pink and green leaf branches in the background. I'm adding a large stitched oval die cut, and I use the add-on pearlescent cardstock for that. I'll adhere the oval using some liquid adhesive, and I will have the very end going off the edge of the card. So once I adhere that oval in place, I'll flip over my panel, use my scissors to trim that off. I also put a couple of Love From Lizi peel-offs at the very top of the pattern paper. This is the Racing Green Mirror color. I use the medium and also the narrowest width. Then I'll layer this panel on some dark green cardstock, add my card front onto a card base. Next I'll bring in one of the beautiful floral ephemera pieces. I've already put foam dimension on the back side. So I'll remove the release paper and adhere that floral image onto the oval die cut. Next I'll stamp the sentiment directly onto my card, so I am using my mini MISTI to ensure I get a nice solid impression. Here's the stamp set that's included in the kit. It's a nice large 6x8 size, and it has lots of words that you can mix and match together for your sentiment. For my card, I'm adding birthday wishes. And since I am stamping it on some pearlescent cardstock, it can easily smudge, so I'm just being careful not to touch that portion until it dries. Next, I'll be adding one of the wooden butterfly pieces. I wanted to make it a nice dark color, so I used the Deck the Halls ink color from Catherine Pooler, but once I press that into the ink, it's a really dark color, almost look black. So I decided to brighten up that color by doing some heat embossing. I'm using the Teal Lagoon embossing powder from Love From Lizi, and I probably should have checked to see if the ink had dried yet on my butterfly, because now I have two very dark green butterfly imprints on my ink pad. But that's okay, I actually used that one specifically for wood pieces because you can see it was already a little stained. So once I have that butterfly re-inked with the Versamark ink, I dump some of the embossing powder on it, use my tweezers to hold it while I heat set it. And now it's not quite as dark as it was with just the ink. I'll adhere to my card using some multimedia matte adhesive. For a final finishing touch, I'm using some more of the gem stickers that are included in the kit. There are 3 different sizes. They are clear, but they have a beautiful iridescent color to them. I'll put 2 of them in the upper left-hand corner and 3 in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 3. For card number 4, the card sketch is from MFT. This is number 582. If you are interested in any of the card sketches I use in this video, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For this card, I'm using the Midnight Blooms add-on paper collection again. I love how the pretty flowers really pop against that dark background. I selected 3 different pattern papers. The very background has a really dark green tone-on-tone pattern. Then I have this lovely pink floral design, and also a pink tone-on-tone pattern that I'm using for the banner that goes behind the floral panel. I'm layering everything on some black cardstock, and I've already stamped out the sentiment birthday wishes. Cut a fishtail on the right side and adhere it to my card. I will put those scrap cardstock pieces on the very left side before adhering it down. And that will help keep everything at the same level. If I don't add those scrap pieces, the very edge of that sentiment piece will have a noticeable dent on the front of the card. I'll adhere those in place using a little bit of liquid adhesive. And since those scrap cardstock pieces won't be visible, I can use any scrap pieces I have sitting on my desk. So I used a piece of black cardstock. To finish off the card, I'll add some of these beautiful pearl and gem flowers that are included in the kit. It's nice that the pearls and gems are all attached together on a little adhesive piece. So all you have to do is peel it up and add it to your card. You could also separate out all those small gems and pearls if you really don't want that flower look. You just need to add a little bit of liquid adhesive to the back. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 4. For card number 5, the card sketch is from MFT. This is number 569. And this is a fun sketch where you can combine 3 different pattern papers. I selected 2 designs that have leaves or branches. And for the 3rd pattern paper, I chose this beautiful pattern that has a lovely pink flower in the corner. So I just trimmed that one down to, I believe it's 1 3/4 inches. I'll layer all 3 of those pieces on some dark green cardstock and then again on some teal cardstock. And this teal is included in the card kit. Put my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. For the sentiment, I stamped out several of the words, and I'm also using one of the dies that's included in the kit. So when I put them all together, it's "Have a lovely day." I cut out the word lovely 2 times. I have a dark green and also this really pretty pink, and this pink color is included in the kit. I'll layer those 2 pieces together so there's just a peek of the green cardstock showing behind the pink. I will be popping up all of the sentiment pieces. I'll add some thin foam dimension to the back of the stamped words, but I'll need to trim down that foam dimension to put on the back of the word lovely. I'll be adding the sentiment on the lower portion of the card. Before removing the release paper on the back of the foam dimension, I'll lay out all of the sentiment so I make sure to get the placement correct. It's fun that the stamp set includes the large word happy, and then we have the die with the word lovely, and you could trade out either of those words and most of the sentiments still work out. So instead of "have a lovely day," you could put "have a happy day." I'll adhere the word lovely down first, then I can add the other 3 words. Just remove the release paper first. For a little extra detail on the word lovely, I'm using a white gel pen and adding some small white polka dots along the edge of each of the letters. Then to finish off the card, I'll use some more of the gem stickers that are included in the kit. Put 3 of them in the upper right hand corner and 2 in the lower left hand corner near the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 5. I love the colors on this card. Pink and teal together are so pretty. For card design number 6, the card sketch is from Mojo Monday. This is number 513. The 2 pattern papers I'm using on this card, I also used on the previous card. The kit does include 2 each of all of the pattern papers, but I was able to use some of the scraps, so I didn't have to cut into a new sheet. I love this paper with a large pink bloom, so I really wanted to make sure to feature that. For the 2-inch strip that's on the bottom of the card, I'm using the leafy branch paper. For the very background of the card, I'm using the mint green cardstock that's included in the kit. You'll only see a tiny bit of it around that pink floral paper. For a little bit of separation between the pattern paper and that green cardstock layer, I did add a Love From Lizi peel off. This is the green moon dust color in the straight design, so it's a little bit wider than the pinstripe. I'm layering everything on some dark green cardstock. Put my card front onto a card base. Now I'll start working on the sentiment. I have some white pearlescent cardstock and I'm layering it on the same dark green cardstock. Just glue that in place toward the bottom of the card. The sentiment is "thinking of you," and the dies are included in the kit. And I decided to go with the same dark green cardstock color for the sentiment. When I'm adhering the words down, "of" and "you" will go more toward the right, so I have a little gap on the very left side, and that's where I can add one of the metal charms that are included in the kit. I selected this lovely butterfly. To adhere to the card, I'm using a large glue dot. You could also use some twine or thread to attach it since it does have the little loop at the very top, but the glue dot seemed to hold it just fine. The glue dot I'm using is a little bit larger than the butterfly, so I'm using my tweezers to tuck in the edge. Then to finish off the card, I'll use some more of the gem stickers. Put 2 of them in the lower left-hand corner and 1 to the right of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 6. I love that beautiful pink blossom. For card design number 7, the card sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 708. I selected 2 different pattern papers for the background. I have the same pattern paper for those outside inch pieces, and then a black and white design for the very center. I'm layering everything on some dark green cardstock. And this green cardstock is not included in the kit, but it works really nicely with most of the pattern paper. For just a little extra shine, I'm adding some of the racing green mirror peel-offs along the edge of that black and white pattern paper. This is the narrowest width. I'll just wrap the ends around the back. Then I can add this panel to the center of my card. I always save those small leftover peel-off strips since sometimes all you need is a tiny piece. Want to make sure not to put those flowers on upside down. Then I'll put some ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base. For this small circle that's indicated on the card sketch, I use some of the blue mirror cardstock that's included in the specialty cardstock bundle add-on. I cut it out using a stitch circle die, and I did trim the very right side so it's sitting flush all the way to the edge of that black and white floral paper. I'll be adding the sentiment hello, and I stamped it on some light purple cardstock, cut the very right side at an angle, and before adhering it to my card, I did put a small piece of foam dimension on the very right side. I'll also add liquid adhesive and adhere it to my card. Next, I'll be adding some of the purple ribbon that's included in the kit. I put some double-sided adhesive on the back side. Now when I was prepping this card, my intention was to wrap the ends of that purple ribbon around the back, but I forgot when I was assembling the card, so instead that little ribbon piece will sit right on top. I've also tied a small bow using the same purple ribbon, and I'll adhere that in place with a small glue dot. I selected another wooden butterfly piece, and I've already done the heat embossing on it. I used the same Teal Lagoon embossing powder, but since I didn't have any green ink first, it has a much lighter color, and I think that works well with the card. For a final finishing touch, I'm using some Love From Lizi peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in the same racing green mirror color. Just adding 3 of them in the upper left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 7. For my last 3 cards, I won't be using any pattern paper or card sketches, which I know is not like me at all. I really wanted to use this lovely stencil that's included in the kit. So I have a piece of white cardstock. I'm using a mini stencil mat from Waffle Flower, and I have the crushed violet ink color from Catherine Pooler. I'm adding a very light coat of the purple and going a little bit darker toward the lower left-hand corner. Then I went and trimmed down that panel so it's a full A2 size card. With some of the extra ink on the brush, I added it in the lower left-hand corner. Now I'll be attaching one of the floral ephemera pieces. I did put some foam dimension on the back. I'll adhere that in the lower left-hand corner. For the sentiment, I'll stamp it directly onto my card, so I'm using my Mini Misty. I'll start with the word happy. I'm using the intense black ink color from Honeybee Stamps. So I do need to ink that up a couple times. Now I'll remove that stamp and add the next word, and this is anniversary. Just stamp that directly underneath the word happy. As I'm recording the voiceover, I can see how really dirty my Misty cover is. One of these days I'll go and clean it. For embellishments on my card, I decided to use the sequins that are included in the kit. It's a really fun and colorful mix, although I'm choosing more of a charcoal color. Decided to go with just the small size. And I wasn't sure of placement, but I ended up adding just 3 of them around that ephemera image. I'm using an embellishment wand to pick those up, adding just a small drop of Barely Art liquid glue and then pressing them in place. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 8. It's a very simple card design, but I love that stenciled look for the background. For card design number 9, I have my mini stencil mat out again and another Catherine Pooler ink, this time the Serenade. Added some of the ink directly onto the mat, then I spritzed it with some water, and I'll be doing some ink smushing. This is not a technique I've done very often, although I really like the look. So I took a piece of white cardstock and pushed it right onto the ink. Now the first paper I did, I thought it was too much ink, so using the leftover ink on the mat, I grabbed another piece of white cardstock and repeat the process. And I really like how the second piece turned out. So that's the one I'll be using for my card. Once it's all dry, I'll be stamping some floral images directly onto the card. And this stamp is included in the kit. I'm using my Mini Misty since I want to make sure to get a good solid impression. And I'll add 3 of the floral blooms to my card, overlapping some of the areas just slightly. And some of the blossom in the lower left-hand corner will go off the edge of the paper. Next, I'll stamp the sentiment. This time it'll be Happy Hello. Using the same intense black ink color from Honeybee Stamps. I stamped the word happy first, and now I'm adding hello right underneath it. I don't even remember the last time I made a one-layer card, since I love adding lots of pattern paper and cardstock layers to my cards. But this was really fun to do. Now I'll put some ATG tape on the back, and decided to also add a little bit of liquid adhesive along the very outside edge. The ink smushing can warp the paper slightly, so having the extra adhesive will ensure that everything lays nice and flat on my card base. For a little extra detail, I am adding a couple of Love From Lizi peel-offs to the very bottom of the card. This is, I believe, the blueberry color in the pinstripe style. Use the medium and also the narrowest width. And since I've already put my card front onto a card base, I can't wrap those ends around the back, so instead I'm flipping over my card and trimming off the extra with a pair of scissors. And then a final finishing touch, I'll add some more of the gem stickers. Decided to go with just the small size. Put 2 of them in the lower left-hand corner and 3 around the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 9. I love how this one turned out, even if it's not my traditional style. It's always fun to try something different, and since Lizi included so many fun crafty items, I was really trying to use everything at least one time. Although there were some things that I didn't use at all because there is so much packed into this kit. For card number 10, I'm using the beautiful hydrangea embossing folder that's included in the kit. I embossed some white cardstock. Now I'm adding just a very light coloring of purple ink all over the flowers. I like to wipe off a little bit of the ink on the mat first, so I'm not getting a really strong color. But I noticed later I did get a little bit of the purple ink in the upper left-hand corner. But that's okay, it's not very noticeable later. Next, I'll be using the Nuvo Mica Mist that's included in the kit. It's this really soft green color. Just spritz the whole background. It's not real noticeable in the video, but it adds this beautiful pearlescent coating on the background. Now I'll add some purple ribbon to the lower portion of the card. I first put down some double-sided tape, and this is from Love From Lizi. She included it in one of her previous kits, but you can also purchase it individually. I'll remove the release paper, then add 2 rows of the skinny purple ribbon. Wrap those ends around the back. To make sure they won't come off later, I'll also add another piece of the double-sided tape. By cutting 2 separate pieces for the front of the card, you'll save on ribbon since you don't have to wrap it all the way around the card. I'll remove the release paper, then add liquid adhesive to the back of the card front and add it to a card base. Now I'll bring in one of the ephemera pieces, and I've already put foam dimension on the back side. I'll remove the release paper and adhere it in the lower left-hand corner. And this will add a little pop of green to the card. I tied a small bow using the same purple ribbon, and I'll adhere it to the lower portion of the ephemera piece using a small glue dot. For a sentiment on the card, I cut out the word lovely using some purple pearlescent cardstock, and this is included in the add-on bundle. I'll adhere the word lovely using some liquid adhesive. Just put that word right above the purple ribbon. I've also stamped out the word hello on some white cardstock, and I'll glue that right above the word lovely. So my whole sentiment is hello lovely. To finish off the card, I'll add some more of the gem stickers, put a couple of them around the sentiment, and a few of them around the ephemera piece. So there is my finished card, and this is card number 10. This was another really fun card to make, just trying some different techniques. Now here's another look at the 10 cards I made using Love From Lizi's September 2022 Super Card Kit. The theme is Full Bloom. If you're interested in purchasing the card kit or subscribing, I do have links provided in the description box below. As I'm recording this voiceover, the kit and most of the add-ons are still available. This is a monthly kit, so quantities are always limited. The only way to guarantee receiving a kit is to sign up and subscribe. And this is an exclusive Love from Lizi kit. Those do tend to sell out fairly quickly. And for more inspiration using Love from Lizi kits, be sure to check out the rest of the Love from Lizi design team. And I will have their channels listed in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.